On this week's weekly video fishing forecast, Fisherman senior editor Fred Galafaro has information on some new fishing access opportunities here on the island. The February issue of the Fisherman is out now, and we have a preview. I will be starting my series on rod building and rod repairs, and we will have reports from anglers like you. All here and more at thenewfisherman.com.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
The February issue is now out on newsstands and in the mail on the way to Fisherman subscribers. John Raguso has a 2021 roundup on the latest marine electronics. If you're in the market for an upgrade, you don't want to miss this read. Amal, our New York City correspondent, wrote a timely article about how the pandemic brought her closer to fishing. Also, circle hooks are something that all anglers are going to have to deal with this season, so the staff at the Fisherman has what you need to know. Speaking of circle hooks, tonight Jim Hutchinson will have a live seminar on the subject, and we'll go over the regs and solutions when fishing with circle hooks. That's tonight at 6 p.m. right here at thefisherman.com. There has been more fishing access added to our area, and with the details, we have Fisherman senior editor Fred Galafaro. Fred?
Hey, Matt, and some really good news on the access front. The real big news, of course, is the creation of the Hashamomac Marine Waterfront Access Site. That's located on Old Main Road in Southold, and it's at the site of the old Barge Restaurant. This is a DEC project. It's going to include a double boat ramp, parking for 31 vehicles and trailers, also 7 vehicles without trailers. There's going to be a kayak launch ramp also, and a fishing pier. Work's already well underway on the project and should be completed by this summer. Now, this is great access to some of the best fishing on the island. And it's probably the only real public access. There's a lot of town ramps, localized ramps like that where you can put a boat in. But this will be open to all state residents when it's completed. And it's going to be especially good. The spring fishing out there can be terrific. The mixed bag action for striped bass, bluefish, porgies, fluke, weakfish. It's one of the better spring areas, so while it won't be ready for this spring, it will be ready for 2022, something to really look forward to. The other access is more along the lines of creative access, but the bike path, which is nearly complete now, that runs from Captree to Jones Beach, is going to provide access to the whole backside of the Barrier Beach, all those coves where a lot of the better bass sharpies on the island spend a lot of the time. Will now be accessible if you're willing to ride a bike. You can either pedal or the electric bikes, which have become very popular the last couple of years, will give you access to a lot of waters that were previously inaccessible on foot. So 2 great access areas to look forward to this season. And of course, we'll keep you updated in upcoming issues of The Fisherman. Matt, back to you.
From Montauk, we have Captain Timothy O'Rourke.
Thanks, Matt. Well, as everybody can figure out, it's wintertime, which means the weather is not really cooperating for getting out and going fishing. Because of that, last weekend, the Viking had to cancel all their trips due to the northeast wind that they had. But they were all able to get out today, which was Wednesday. The fishing wasn't so hot. There was a big groundswell on. The water was pretty muddy. But Carl Jr. said that they did catch a handful of cod. I think they caught 6 to 8 cod. A lot of short cod, which was a good sign of fish around. They're going to give it another shot this weekend. They have trips booked for Saturday and Sunday. Reservations are required and recommended. So I'll check in with you next week. Hopefully we'll have a better report. They've been doing pretty good. Once they find the pot of fish, they seem to pick away pretty nice. So something to look forward to, and enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
With our fly and freshwater report, we have Paul McCain from River Bay Outfitters.
Hello, Matt. I came up here to take my daughter back to school, and I say I'm going to get a couple of days of fishing on the Salmon River. Well, this morning I woke up to 6 degrees, slush in the river. When I cast my line, it was like froze out in the air. It's going to be a brutal couple of days. I'll let you know how it goes. But back on Long Island, you know, we still got fishing out there. The Connecticut is fishing well. In fact, surfer dad, Ed, he took his daughter out to the Connecticut, and she did very, very well on flies that she tied. That's a lot of fun. It's important when it's amazing when you catch your fish on a fly U tide. So there is fishing out there. The fly rodders, they did well. The guys, I'm hearing when before the ponds started freezing up, pickerel fishing has been very good. So don't sit on the couches. Get outside when you can, even if it is just to cast the frozen line. So until next week, tight lines, everybody, and see you, Matt.
Joey Leggio may not be fishing right now, but he did provide us with a little insight on how to pick the right blackfish jigging rod. Click on the card above for his complete video. Let's see what Chris Ludwig has been up to this week.
Hey, thanks, Matt. What's going on, guys? So this last week, the fishing was pretty good. My buddy Sean from Not Your Rods and myself split up our efforts to try to find some good pickerel. He went about 10 or so miles east of me and found some pickerel in some skinny water, and he was fishing his new ultralight rods, which, by the way, I think I'm going to be getting one soon enough. Very excited about that. Hopefully you guys will see him. So he's fishing these ultralight rods, and he's fishing these suspending crankbaits and little jerk baits and just completely capitalizing on this day bite he found. And as for me, I got him. I got that big pickerel that showed itself to me a few weeks ago. Just consistency. I knew where he was, and I wasn't letting up. On this one morning, it was like 16 degrees. This thing shot out of a pile of sticks like a freight train and just gobbled up a pink paddle tail like this. This fish was definitely great, certainly my PB, and I'm glad that battle's over and we're on to the next one. Hopefully I'll see you guys out there, and take care.
Raul Ortiz, the urban angler, was fishing the Salmon River with his buddy Chris. They had a good outing, catching steelhead using egg sacs for bait. Despite the cold temps, Raul added that New York fishing never ends. That's the right attitude to have. Joe Bentavenga remains relentless in his pursuit of catching holdover striped bass in South Shore tidal creeks. He had fish from 12 to 24 inches on a 5'6" ultralight rod with 4-pound test. Nicely done, Joe. Let's head over to the rod bench and see what viewers asked for. We got a couple questions in, and one of them happened to be how to wrap a guide on a fishing pole. This is something that you really have to know for rod repairs and rod building. I say it's one of the most important things, actually. Follow along with me and I'll show you how I do it personally. All right, everybody, wrapping a guide. Let's get to it. First things first, you want to have a certain set of tools right in front of you, easy to access. We have scissors, masking tape. This is 1/4-inch masking tape, and a ruler. The guide itself, high visibility thread so you guys can see better. We have the blank, and we have our power wrapper. You can either use a power wrapper or you can use a hand wrapper. Mudhole has both of these in stock. Like I said, you can go either way. This one's more expensive, but the hand wrap will get the job done just as well. Okay, so first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the guide itself, and I'm going to take a piece of tape. A piece like this will do. Take the guide, right in the middle of the foot, tape like that. I'll make sure your blank is nice and lined up where the reel seat is. Hold the guide down, and we're going to tape it right in place, just like that. Make it nice and tight so it doesn't wiggle around. Okay, so that's in place. Next thing you want to do is you want to figure out the size of what your wrap is going to be. That's where the ruler comes in handy. So we're going to make this wrap 1.25 inches from the bend of the foot all the way out. Okay, so now that you have an idea of where that thread is going to go to, we're going to move on to the next step. Grab another piece of tape like this. Grab your thread this time. Tape your thread. I'm going to spin the blank a little. On the back side of the guide, tape that thread down just like that. Now we're going to spin the thread down the foot of the guide to where we think that 1.25 inch mark is. Pick your ruler up again. I think it's right about there. It looks just about right. Just a little bit more. Okay, that's 1.25 inches. Now we're going to go over that original wrap 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so after 3 times, that's all locked into place. We can take away our piece of tape holding the thread down, just like so. Okay, unwrap that. we take this right here. That gets snipped off. All right, so now we're all locked in. Now we can just go ahead and wrap. Give it a little speed. Make sure everything's nice and tight too. Wait till we go right before the foot. You want to go a little slower here just so it transitions up the foot of the guide nicely. Okay. We're on the guide, go really slow. We said you want this transition to go smooth. Okay, we're up the foot of the guide. At this point, we can take the tape away off the foot of the guide because the thread is holding that guide in place. Okay, get ready to tape. Give a little speed. Now at this point, you want to stop about 1/8 of an inch before the end of the bend of the guide. Okay, right about there. So I have another extra spool of thread here. It's black thread. Take a piece about that big. We're gonna cut that, double that in half, just as so. Take that, slip it underneath this thread right here on the back side of the guide. So now you have a loop right here. This is your finishing loop. And we're gonna wrap that extra 1/8 inch. Okay, so now it's time to finish it off. So what I'm gonna do here is take my index finger, pinch down the thread, and cut. My index finger is holding this whole wrap together now. So it takes a little bit of coordination here, but take that thread, pass it through that finishing loop. And we're gonna take this thread right here, hold the wrap thread, hold that tight. Remove our index finger. Now this, our left hand is holding the whole wrap in place. Take our thread right here, our finishing thread, wrap it around our finger, pull it nice and tight until we get it even snugged up right with the wrap. Okay, so now you can let go of everything. It's all tight, all in place. Now what we do is take a little razor blade. Very closely, we'll just pop that away. So this last step, take your finishing thread, wrap it around your index finger, pull, and voila. Make sure your wraps are nice and tight. They sell little burnishing tools. We can get the wrap so nice and tight on mud hole as well. But that's the basics of it. Wrapping a guide, guys.
Remember to like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tap on the bell to be notified instantly when we post a new video on YouTube. Check out this week's description on YouTube for all the related links and information. And please support our correspondents by visiting their websites and social media pages. Please don't forget, tonight is the night to get all your questions answered on circle hooks. There'll be live demonstrations and questions answered all here at thenewfisherman.com.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.